How much time do you spend at the State Department?
How much what?
How much time?
Do I spend
at the State Department?
almost every day if I'm in the country. I travel a lot.
So how much time do you spend at the other jobs if you spend every day at the State Department?
Well, now you know I can't offer you 8 hours today to answer every question on this committee, which you were complaining about earlier.
Did you anticipate or did you want, when you were sworn in to be the Secretary of State, do you want to have the jobs of USAID administrator?
No, I did not apply for those jobs.
Did not apply
I was asked to serve in those roles, and I'm happy to do it. The archives are doing great.
Based upon your testimony earlier, in some of these other departments, they were duplicative. So if it's duplicative, then get rid of them.
Well, you would have to pass a law to do that if you want to combine those four offices.
The Secretary of State walks into a room full of politicians who think the American Treasury is their personal piggy bank. Gregory Meeks thought he could corner Marco Rubio and bully him into funding failed globalist projects, but he made a massive mistake. He brought a lecture to a street fight. Today, we're breaking down the moment Rubio stopped being polite and started being real. It wasn't just a hearing. It was a total demolition of the old guard.
demanded it.
Well, we've complied with every part of the law. Every single part of the law has been complied with, including you, for example, have written us 16 letters. You've been briefed on 7 of them. Some of them we couldn't answer, and we told you why we couldn't answer, because they were subject to litigation. 4, you've gotten answers in writing, and 5, we've gotten just in the last few days. Well, 16 letters. I've been there 17 weeks. You write me a letter a week. I'm going to
yield my last.
Where for the first time since the end of the Cold War, the United States had a near-peer competitor and adversary in the state of China. And we need to confront that. And our foreign policy needs to be geared around that and on the realities of this new world. And so what that means is we have to have a State Department that can deliver on a foreign policy that is rooted in the national interest of the United States. To defend the national interest of the United States requires us, number one, to make sure that every dollar we spend and every action we take has to have measurable outcomes that deliver for the American people. They have to either make our country safer, or they have to make our country stronger, or they have to help make our country more prosperous. It has to do at least one of those 3 things. And ideally, whether it's a program or a measure that we take, it should do all 3 of them. Now, what that means is that there are some great causes in the world. There really are. There are some great causes. There are some horrifying things that are happening on the planet. America cannot solve every single one of them. What we need to focus on is prioritizing our foreign policy to those areas that are in our national interest. Now, we will still remain the largest contributor of foreign aid and humanitarian assistance on this planet by far. The United States, even under the budget that's before you today, and the changes we have made, will still contribute more in foreign aid than the next 10 countries combined. Than the entire OECD. The next closest country is not China, it's Germany, and it's way behind us, even now. But that foreign aid has to be geared towards our national interest. We need to design a State Department that delivers on that. Yes, we canceled a bunch of contracts in USAID. Some were stupid and outrageous. Others didn't serve the national interest, and others we kept. And we are folding it under the Department of State. And you know why? Because we want it to be part of the toolbox of foreign policy, not a standalone. It is not charity. Foreign aid is not charity. It is designed to further the national interest of the United States. So we will do humanitarian assistance. We will do food assistance. We will do developmental assistance. And we will do security assistance. But we will do it driven by our embassies and our regional bureaus. Because what those issues mean look very different in Guatemala than they may in Chad or in Kenya or in some other part of the world in the Indo-Pacific. And so one of the things that we have tried to do in our reorganization is drive power and influence on policymaking and decision-making to the regional bureaus and ultimately to our embassies. Our embassies, our ambassadors, are the front line of American foreign policy. The most important thing I do every single day is not read memos, it's read cables. Every night I get 10, 15 select cables from stations around the world, different embassies. The best ideas in that building come from the ground up from our embassies. Now, I want to tell you something else. Look, I did serve in the Senate for a long time, so this is a new job to me. When I got there, I'd get a memo. I still get these memos. I should have brought one today. In order for an idea to reach me, a decision to reach the Secretary of State, some of these things have to be checked off by 40 people, 40 boxes. And if any one of these people has a question, they can hold it up before the idea even ever gets to me. Now, that sounds like a crazy thing to begin with. We can't afford it in the 21st century. We have to be able to move very quickly. And a case in point is what happened last week. Syria, under a new authority, granted people with some checkered background, is on the verge of collapse potentially. And if it collapses, it will devolve into civil war. And civil war will mean that it will become a playground for ISIS and other jihadists, not to mention Iranian influence coming back in. So there's no guarantee that by outreach and working with the transitional authority in Syria, things are going to work out. It may work out, it may not work out. But if we don't reach out and try, it's guaranteed to not work out. And so we had to move very quickly to action that. If we had not done sanctions relief last week, and now the EU has followed suit, then our partners in the region could not have provided donor dollars so that transitional authority could try to stabilize its governance of the country. That place could have collapsed within weeks and become an ISIS playground once again. There is no way that a traditional system could have delivered on that. It would have gone to the interagency. It would have gone to 6 to 9 months of debate. Any individual could have held it up with an information hold, and we never would have acted. We can't afford it.
Hearing started with Congressman Meeks trying to grandstand, claiming that cutting USA was a death sentence for global stability. He was loud, he was arrogant, and he was completely wrong. Rubio sat there leaning back, waiting for his moment. When Meeks finally took a breath, Rubio didn't just respond. He detonated. He dismantled the idea that throwing billions at corrupt regimes makes America safer. It was the first sign that the establishment's guilt-trip diplomacy was officially dead on arrival. Then came the moment that is already viral. Meeks tried to pin every international crisis on Rubio's desk, demanding to know why the US wasn't doing more. Rubio didn't flinch. He slammed his hand on the table and told Meeks, "This is not my job." He made it crystal clear his job is to protect American families, secure American interests and defend American soil. He's not the world's social worker and he's done pretending that taxpayers should be the world's safety net while our own borders are wide open. After the explosion, Rubio went into professor mode, but with a razor-sharp edge. He forced Meeks to look at the numbers, the waste, the fraud, and the programs that actually fund groups that hate us. Meeks tried to interrupt, but Rubio talked right over him, schooling him on what actual national security looks like. He showed the world that America first isn't just a slogan. It's a mathematical necessity. Meeks looked small, confused, and completely outmatched by a man who actually understands the value of a dollar. If you believe it's time to stop sending our wealth overseas and start fixing our own country, you need to be part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. And let's keep the pressure on Washington together. By the end of the exchange, Meeks had nothing left. The arrogant Democrat who started the morning with a smirk was left staring at his notes in total silence. Rubio had taken his best shots and turned them into a victory lap for common sense. The message was sent to every bureaucrat in D.C. The era of the blank check is over. The room felt the shift. The power has moved away from the globalists and back to the people. Marco Rubio just provided a blueprint for how to handle the swamp. You don't compromise with people who want to bankrupt your future. You expose them. He walked into that hearing a target and walked out a hero for every American tired of being exploited. The establishment is panicking because they can't control a man who isn't afraid to say no. This is just the beginning of the fight to bring our resources back home. Stay fiery. Stay focused. And I'll see you in the next.